Hello beautiful people, welcome to my channel, Mind Your Mental Matters. I am Yvette and today I want to talk about substance induced psychosis. Now, you may have heard some people refer to this illness as toxic psychosis or drug induced psychosis or substance induced psychotic disorder, or more likely than not, you may have never even heard of it. But chances are you probably know someone with this illness and you probably just labeled them as just a drunkard or a junkie or simply someone who is not serious with their life. So with this video, I want to define substance-induced psychosis, explore the causes, symptoms, treatment, and show you just how close to home it really is. Now, by definition, substance-induced psychosis is a form of substance use disorder where psychosis can be attributed to substance use. It's a psychosis that results from the effects of chemicals or drugs. So simply put, when a person abuses drugs and or alcohol, they may end up having a mental illness called substance-induced psychosis. Now, let's break it down. We know what substances are. That's drugs and alcohol. We know what induced means. That's to bring about or to give rise to something. But what is psychosis? So, psychosis is a serious mental condition that involves a person's losing touch with reality. It's a set of symptoms that can be triggered by a number of causes, including the misuse of drugs and alcohol. Psychosis is characterized by a break with reality, and it includes hallucinations and delusions. So delusions are false beliefs or beliefs that are just not based on reality. And when a person sees or hears things that others cannot see or hear, that's when they are hallucinating. So those are the symptoms of substance-induced psychosis. It's delusions, hallucinations, also dissociation and disordered thinking. Let me tell you a story, guys. I want to tell you a story about this young man from Zimbabwe. And this is a classic case of a young boy. He was 21 years old at the time, who left his beloved country to seek greener pastures in South Africa. His name is Claudius. And because he didn't have proper papers to be in South Africa, he really struggled, to find a decent job. But yeah, you know what they say about an idle mind. Because now Claudius didn't have much to do, so he started experimenting with weed and bronchia. There's this medicine that young people call bronco, and they drink it to get high. So Claudius started experimenting with these drugs to a point where his highs started getting out of control. He would start hallucinating and talking about things that are just not there. It got really bad, guys. It got to a point where his condition, even he felt it himself. Like this life in South Africa is just worse than what his life was when he was back in Zimbabwe. He even started having feelings like maybe there's something wrong with South Africa. There are bad spirits here. So he decided to just take whatever he had, sell all of it, and then go back to Zimbabwe. And that's exactly what he did. He went back to his country. But when he got back there, he continued abusing these drugs, bronco and weed. And so the hallucinations and delusions continued to a point where he even ran away from home, So I think for about 2 days. After 2 days, his parents found him in the bushes somewhere, cuffed him up and took him to a hospital where he was then admitted to a psychiatric ward. That's where he was diagnosed with substance-induced psychosis, and that's where he eventually got help. Now, maybe the story of Claudius may seem a bit far-fetched, but think about how many people in your neighborhood suffer from drug and alcohol abuse, and you have just written them off as junkies or abonyaube. How many people do you know in your own homes who are struggling with alcohol misuse, and you have just looked at them and said, they are not serious with life? For example, where I'm from, in Soweto, guys, there are people who wake up early in the morning and are at the Shabin at 7 a.m. every single day, week in, week out. And it cannot be that all these people are just not serious with life. In Deep Blue Square there, there are some teenagers who come from really decent families, really decent homes, but they're caught up stealing change, stealing clothes, begging for money, working as self-appointed car guards just so they can get money for their next fix of nyaope. It can't be that all those kids are all not serious with life. I don't think so, guys. Some of them are just people who experimented with a drug that triggered a mental illness within them. And that's just the thing. Two people can take the same amount of marijuana, but it will not affect them in the exact same way. For one person, he might get a normal high and continue to be productive. And the other guy may just, it may just trigger psychosis, which can just disable them. Look at the case of Claudius. I mean, I look at that and I'm just so happy for him, because while the neighbors and his relatives were advising his mom to consult with local prophets or traditional healers, because they felt to go see this boy is maybe bewitched or he's suffering from bad spirits. But she was like, no, I'm going to take him to hospital and get him the medical help and treatment that he needs. Today, Claudius is fully recovered. He's living a drug-free life, making incredible music, and he's even become an ambassador for mental health. Now, don't get me wrong. I have absolutely no problem with people consulting their places of faith for support. Yeah, but I'm saying do it with the help of other methods. If a person can go for chemotherapy and still go to church, then a person can go to a psychiatric ward and still go to church. Let's not, let's just balance things out. And the other thing, let us not be too quick to judge and decide that people are useless or diagnose them with witchcraft without knowing what exactly the underlying problem is. Instead, let's empathize with people. Educate ourselves, educate the people who are suffering, because they probably don't know what is wrong with them too. And then put ourselves in a position where we're able to be helpful, Also, I'm not saying that every single person who uses drugs and alcohol is sick. Most of them are just intoxicated after they use drugs and alcohol. But in the case of substance-induced psychosis, there has to be some sort of significant impact that the psychotic symptoms are having on the person, like the hallucinations and the delusions. And they may cause this person not to be productive anymore at school, at home, in society, or in their homes, right? So when we're looking out for substance-induced psychosis, some of the early signs could include a worrisome drop in grades or job performance, trouble thinking clearly or concentrating, suspiciousness or uneasiness with others. When people are just uneasy and they're just so suspicious of everything and everyone around them. A decline in self-care or personal hygiene, spending more time alone than usual, or just strong, inappropriate emotions, or just having no feelings at all. These are some of the signs that we can look out for. So if you know somebody who's abusing drugs and alcohol, that's when you'd be like, this one is just drinking and they're just, maybe an alcoholic and they can still continue with life. But this one, since they've been doing drugs and all these things, they're starting to withdraw from society. They're not focused. Or now a person can't even take a shower. Those are some of the hints. Now, like diabetes or HIV, there is no cure for substance-induced psychosis. But like HIV and diabetes, it can be treated. So the first thing is a person would need to get an assessment to see if this is really substance-induced psychosis or if it's something else. Now, once you have been diagnosed with this illness, then you have to go through a couple of stages like detox to get these substances out of your body, right? And then you can get some medications prescribed by a doctor, and you can also get psychotherapy. Medication and therapy usually work very well together because when you get this antipsychotic medication, it can balance you out, right? And then when you go for therapy, a doctor will be able to talk to you and find out what got you there in the first place, what triggered this illness within you, and what kept you there, also because now these people have had to be subjected to all this treatment with name calling and labeling. It's quite traumatic experiences that they have to get counseling for. It's also worth noting that substance-induced psychosis is most often associated with other mental illnesses like bipolar disorder or schizophrenia. And while there are similarities between the symptoms, these are different conditions with different causes and different treatments. So this is very important for us to know. And yeah, I think this is where I will leave it with this one. If there's anything that you take away from this, I want you to take away that there is a mental illness called substance-induced psychosis. It's very real, okay? And this is when a person abuses alcohol and drugs, and this could be legal or illegal drugs, okay? Even though it cannot be cured, it can definitely be treated. Once again, look at the case of Claudius. He is living a fruitful life right now because he's going through psychotherapy and he's taking the medication that he should. So he is living a very balanced life. It's also very important for us to know the difference between just an alcoholic or somebody who just enjoys drinking and then maybe they misbehave after that, and somebody who is going through a serious mental illness such as substance-induced psychosis. Okay? Now, remember guys, everything that I share with you is based on what I know and the research that I have done. But if you are looking for professional help, please go ahead and seek the help of a professional. And that's it from me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think of this video. If you've learned something, if you have any questions, suggestions, if you have any stories you would like to share with me, please leave it in the comment section below. And yeah, share this video, man, with every single person that you care about, because it's going to be so helpful to each and every person who sees this. And don't forget to subscribe, man. Ring that bell so that you don't have to miss any of the videos that I upload. And that's it, guys. Thank you once again so much for watching. Until the next time, lots of love, lots of light, and perfect mental health to you and your people. Mwah.